Welcome back to a third hour of Citizen Extra live on Citizen TV. Lots of talking points, of course, in this particular time, and we now switch gears and take a look at another topic. As you know, of course, several counties around this country are having a ceremony today, an inauguration ceremony, as governor-elects finally, take that oath of office and can now formally dispense their duties. And incumbent governors who are successful get a second chance. But even as this happens, they will have to contend with reconstituted county assemblies that are meant to keep them accountable. What lessons have MCAs, or members of county assembly, learned over the last 4.5 years, and can they shed the negative tags in the coming 5 years? You've heard all sorts of stories about MCAs, which I'll be discussing with my panel here in studio. Let me introduce my guest now, even as we talk about keeping governors accountable and work cut out for members of county assembly. I'm glad to have on the program today Karungo Wathangwa. He was an MCA, aspired to go for higher position, senatorial candidate in Kiambu County. Did not quite go as he hoped, but of course I'm sure he has a lot of insights that he'll share with us here today. Karibu, and of course a familiar face here. Karibu to the program.
Thank you very much.
In addition, we have, I don't know how to call him, new kid on the block in the Nairobi County Assembly. Kiambu County Assembly. I always confuse that. Cyrus Omondi, aka Gearbox, MCA, Kahawa Wendani. He got that ticket, and we'll be engaging them shortly about that. Let me start with you, Karungo.
Yes.
And find out from you, an estimated 12,060 candidates vied to join county assemblies around this country.
Right.
Why such an interest in this particular position?
You see, the reason why most of leaders wanted to be MCAs, first of all, is because the MCAs were the most felt, because they have close contact with the people.
Okay.
So everybody knew what the MCA role was. Of course, probably they never understood to the end, but they knew for you to get into leadership, there is a stepping stone, and the stepping stone is you start with the MCAs. And again, people realize that an MCA needs probably a younger leader.
Okay.
So for those young ones who are out there, they say, or they thought that starting with an MCA is an entry to politics, an entry to leadership. And again, of course, there was this aspect of money. When media had bloated everything about how much an MCA was earning.
Oh, so it wasn't true.
It wasn't true. It wasn't.
We have our fact.
First of all, I feel for the current MCA. The current MCA who has been elected.
Like the gentleman.
Yeah, and I want to congratulate Gearbox, first of all, for being elected.
Thank you.
And of course the other new MCAs who are now come to Kiambu County. But they were shortchanged in a way, because you see, if you look at their salary, and if you look at what Serem did, they cut a lot of things from the MCA side, yet they never did that on the MPs and senators.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is there was this perception that MCAs were getting home $500,000 per month, which was not really true. So there are those who thought, oh, this is the time now to come and make money. So that's why there were so many people who are coming in here to try their luck in politics. But I'm telling you, because Wanjiku now understands, he went for the right person, and that's why I'm congratulating everybody who has been elected, because they had something to compete with, or somebody to compare with, and I'm hoping once they come in and once they sworn in, they will be better than us, because of course you have to prove yourself you're better than the person that you kicked out.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it is a big task ahead of them, and I wish them well, and I will of course be there to show them the ropes, because I've been there.
Yes.
I know what I went through as an MCA who speaks for the people, and I wouldn't want an MCA who is fighting for Wanjiku to go through what I went through.
Let me bring Cyrus into this discussion. New in this particular role. Cyrus, how do you think first-time MCAs, the ones who've been in office for the last 4.5 years, understood their roles? That's one. And for you, do you feel now your crop of MCAs, maybe the second generation, so to speak, understand what they're supposed to be doing?
Thank you, Aiga, for inviting me in this show. The new MCAs, first of all, we have seen what has happened with our colleagues who are not in the assembly.
Okay.
Especially in Kiambu County Assembly, we are remaining only with two MCAs who are
out of how many?
Out of 87.
Only two.
Only two
were retained.
And
85 went home.
85 went home.
My.
And that is something that if we are not careful as the current MCAs, we are going to go the same way they went. So what we want in the leadership of the House, especially the Kiambu County Assembly, we want to legislate laws which will help Wanjiko on the ground, and we don't want to involve ourselves with a lot of fights with governors and everything. We want to have a time with governors that we can help Wanjiko, because the devolution was enacted to help Wanjiko to fill the government on the ground, and that is what we are going in that assembly to do, especially to help Wanjiko, and that is what Wanjiko wants to hear.
Okay, I'll cut you off there, because I think we need to cross over now to the Supreme Court. As in today is the deadline when filing of petitions is supposed to take place. The Supreme Court registry will be open, has been open from 7 in the morning, and they will not close until midnight, awaiting those who would have petitions in regards to the presidential declaration. Let's cross over now to the Supreme Court, where Sam Gituku is monitoring the situation there. He'll be able to tell us if anyone has filed any petitions yet, what the mood is there, and of course maybe the process when someone will eventually make their way there to file a petition. Sam Gituku, good morning. Kindly update us on the latest from the Supreme Court.
Well, good morning to you, Wahiga. Yes, we are the Supreme Court, and so far nobody has come to petition the presidential election, as it were. The National Super Alliance lawyers were being expected to be here this morning, but that is yet to happen. But Wahiga, they still have quite some time, because talking about right now being 11:30, they have 11:25. They have about 12 hours and 35 minutes to do so, because the register will be closing at midnight. Of course, this is one of the procedures that has been taken by the Supreme Court registry to ensure that they give the total time required to file that particular petition, being the 7th day and the last day for any person who wants to make a complaint against the presidential election results that were declared last week. They have until that time to be in a position to do so. What we are hearing is that the lawyers, the advocates of the National Super Alliance, are still held up somewhere trying to do the final touches of what should be the basis of the petition here at the Supreme Court. And this is very important, Wahiga, because as we spoke yesterday to the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, that is Ann Amadi, she was telling us that they have to take all the time that they need to be in a position to file what should be a Oversight case, because they need all the documentation that is necessary to be in a position to prove whatever the allegations, whatever the case that they will be moving in court, because once this window closes, it doesn't open again until that time when they have an interlocutory moment. That should be the 7th day from now. We're talking about probably if today is 18th, then you're talking about 25th, they might have an opportunity to make some requests. For instance, if they may want some extra information produced by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, they can use that opportunity. But in as far as the primary, the basis, what forms the skeleton that forms this particular petition against the presidential election has to be filed today, Wahiga. And so even as we spoke to the Chief Registrar yesterday, of course indicating the timelines that have to be adhered to, because after today, then the National Super Alliance lawyers have to be in a position to present to serve the lawyers of the Jubilee candidate Uhuru Kenyatta, or rather the president-elect, and also the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission as an institution, and also the chairman of that institution being the presidential election returning officer Wafula Chebukati. They have to be served in 2 days, and that should be on Sunday, Wahiga.
Okay, Sam, I know that you've stated that so far no petitions have been brought. Maybe it's rumors, but have you heard any rumors maybe on what time they're expecting, Sam? Is there any sort of timelines, or right now for you it's just pretty much a wait and see kind of game?
Well, the initial information was that they should be making their way here at about 9 o'clock, but you realize that we're nearing midday, so that has not yet happened. And as I said, that they have more than 12 hours to do so, because this window closes at midnight. Then they still have some time to do so, but as soon as they are in a position to make their way here, you will be sure that we'll be with them as we get a glimpse of what they will be filing in terms of the documentation, what size it will be, in terms of the battalion of lawyers, how many there will be, and also trying to get a snippet or rather a sneak peek of what that petition entails in terms of the details. And as I said, it will be very important for us really to get the content, because that will also indicate the kind of case that they'll be having, comparing to the situation that happened in 2013 when they had some evidential material over 900 pages that was the affidavit of the then presidential candidate for the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, Raila Odinga. It was rejected because because it was filed outside the timeline. So the expectation is that they are taking as much time as they need to because they have to ensure that whatever they file here will be a watertight case that is supported by all the evidence that they may require. Wahiga.
Sam, have you seen increased security presence at the Supreme Court? And also, can you, I guess, paint for us a picture of what will happen when lawyers bringing petitions will get to the Supreme Court, like in terms of maybe how many officers will they visit at the Supreme Court, and maybe just the procedure, if you're able to briefly touch on that. But first things first, security operations at the Supreme Court, has it increased because of what will happen today?
Yes, we've seen several security officials getting to around the area. We've seen the gentleman by the name Koome, who is in charge of the security in the Nairobi area. He has been around. We've seen trucks of police officers patrolling the area around the Supreme Court, outside the road that moves from the Kencom area all the way to Parliament. There has been several police officers patrolling the area, and of course within this around the Supreme Court itself, there are security officers, of course, getting to prepare for any incidences that may arise, bearing in mind that even in as much as this is a legal affair that the National Super Alliance lawyers will be presenting their papers, it is also attracting a lot of interest both publicly and also from the supporters of the National Super Alliance who may want to accompany the lawyers as they come to present their documentation here. I wish we could move closer to the registry, but essentially this is the office. What is behind me is the office that the National Super Alliance lawyers will be presenting their documentation, and what will happen is that once they come here, they will be given forms to fill. Of course, some of them they have already filled in terms of the affidavit that has to be signed by the petitioner. In this case, the chief petitioner is the presidential election, or rather the presidential candidate of the National Super Alliance, that is Raila Odinga. So when that documentation is ready, the National Super Alliance lawyers will have to be processed in terms of the fee that is required. There's the security of cost of 1 million shillings that has to be presented to the registry. That basically has to be in terms of depositing into the bank account, and also there's what is required to be done in terms of the fees of filing this particular petition of 500,000 shillings. It has to be presented at this registry. That is, the evidence of such kind of payment has to be presented to them, and of course the documentation will then be assessed in a process called fee assessment, and then after that there's the verification where they will be taken through the process of looking at, have you met the conditions as set out in the rules and procedures of handling a presidential election petition, and these rules are contained in what is called the rules and procedures of the Supreme Court of 2017. Of course, they have been reviewed this time round. They are slightly different from what was used in 2013, but basically just to ensure that there is more comfort in terms of the litigants who were involved in this particular case. And essentially, once they do that and they are certified that this petition has been received by the registrar of the Supreme Court, then after that they will be required, as I said, to present, or rather to serve whatever they have filed here to the Jubilee candidate Uhuru Kenyatta, and also the IEBC as an institution, and the chairman of Wafula Chebukati, after which the two institutions, that is the President Uhuru Kenyatta, Wafula Chebukati, and their respective institutions will be required to file a response within 4 days, and that should take you up to, if Sunday is 20th, then 24th they should be in a position to file their responses, and after that, then after filing those responses, the National Super Alliance can get an opportunity to go through those responses, and if there are issues that they may want to raise, then they can do so on the 26th of this month. And also for people who may want to be joined with the case, for instance, the Attorney General may want to join the case as an amicus curiae, a friend of the court, like was the case in 2013, then they'll get an opportunity to do that on the 26th of this month, so that after that, then there should be what you call the pre-trial conference that should be held probably sometimes next Saturday, that is Saturday next week, which will now set out the procedures, the roadmap that will be used to get to the process of hearing. So in that pre-trial conference, where he goes, that the judges will consult with the lawyers that will be involved in this particular case to agree on how much time will be necessary for the petitioner, Raila Odinga in this case, represented by lawyers of course, and also what time is necessary for the respondents, in this case IEBC and its chair Uhuru Kenyatta and the Jubilee party who may want to also make a point in this particular matter. So all those discussions will be agreed come next Saturday, so that then after that the court will decide when do they have the first hearing and how do they progress on, so that there is ample time for each and every party to make their case and also counter the arguments from their opponents, and after that they are left with enough time, that is the judges, they are left with enough time to go and consider who will have been presented to them and make a determination, so that they are able to deliver the verdict latest by 1st of September, because this is a petition that is bound in time in terms of they have only 14 days from today when that is filed. So it's a tight race for everyone, so they have to use the time that they have wisely, so that they're in a position to ensure that they present as much information as possible and also as necessary to make their case. Wahiga.
Thank you so much, Sam Gituku, for walking us through the procedure of the presidential petition, and of course also letting us know exactly what will happen should someone with a petition come and of course file that petition at the Supreme Court registry. As soon as you hear anything, Sam, please let us know and we'll come back to you for an update. Of course, Sam Gituku there reporting for the Supreme Court of Kenya. The deadline for filing a presidential petition is today, and of course he's keeping his focus there and letting us know as soon as he gets any updates there. Let's now cross over to Homa Bay, specifically Homa Bay High School, and the images that you're seeing is a ceremony that is about to begin as the inauguration of the governor, the incumbent governor who won and thus got a second chance in office, will take place. We expect it to start any minute now. This is Governor Cyprian Awiti. He won the ticket on an ODM party. According to the details we have from the IEBC website, he garnered 203,809, or at least that's, those votes, 52.34%. Some of his rivals in that race was Joseph Magwanja, who was an independent candidate who garnered 183,685 votes. Tom Otieno Onyango of the Jubilee Party got 1,237 votes. Again, all this data is from the IBC website. And Medo Luke Calvins Misoma, also an independent candidate, got 653 votes. The IBC website listing only 3 other gentlemen who went up against incumbent Governor Cyprian Awiti, but the people of Homa Bay felt that it was Awiti who would get that ticket again, and thus they gave him that 52.34% of their votes, 203,809. And thus today he will get his chance to take a second oath of office after the one he took for a little over 4.5 years ago. And what you can see on your screen are a bit of the entertainment that has been lined up before the ceremony takes place. Of course, each county might do it in a different way. Here you can see some song and dance kicking off the program. We expect speeches thereafter, and then the swearing in, or swearing in first and then speeches thereafter, and then maybe some sort of eating and drinking for those who are in attendance, depending on, of course, how each county decided to conduct this particular program. We also know that there's a lot happening in Kajiado County and Murang'a as well, and when we get a chance to bring you some of those live images, then we will certainly do so. But I guess we can carry on now with the discussion in studio if we don't have any other live updates from some of those other counties. As soon as we do, we'll go back to that. But let me introduce another guest of mine here who's just joined us. I'm glad to have Millicent Mugadi here joining us, MCA Ziwani Karioko. I hope I've gotten that right, Millicent?
Yes.
Good, and glad to have her on the program. She has a unique story, and towards the end of the program I'll give her a chance to tell us how she campaigned this time around. Very unique, and I'll give her a chance. And for Cyrus as well, even for him, you made the headline, Cyrus. With your nomination because of the unique circumstances of the area where you got your nomination. We'll also give you a chance as we wind up for that. Okay. We're talking about MCAs, and I'll start with you, Karunga. I want to give Millicent a chance to catch her breath before she just come in.
Sure.
Tell us about these benchmarking trips to different locations. I've been Googling MCAs, and some of the headlines that have been coming up are about MCAs traveling to this location, MCAs traveling to that location.
Right.
How are they decided upon? Okay, where they happen? I don't know if it happened in your county. And what has been their value so far?
You know what happened once we got elected in 2013? We took the structures of the National Assembly.
Okay.
Because you see, there were no laws as to how a county assembly is supposed to run. Actually, the Constitution itself says that if there's no law that a county has passed, the national law prevails.
Okay.
So we took all the structures. What they do was devolved. What MPs do was devolved to the county assemblies. And for us, it was even it was not the making of the MCAs, because when the budget process was being done, you could tell that there is money for domestic travel, there is money for foreign travels, and all that. So we just copied.
Okay.
And when it was copied, then it came to the limelight because you see, as I was saying, an MCA is so close to Mwananchi down there. So if an MCA goes away for a week, the whole village will know. So that's why people started talking. Why are these MCAs going? Oh, they're going abroad. What are they going to abroad to do? But you see, the MPs have been doing that since 1960, but nobody knew because they are away from the people.
Okay.
So for me, I say it was a learning process. It was a learning curve that people now understand how the public money is being used. And the new crop of MCAs that we have got, now they know why the MCAs who are there were kicked out. It's because of this kind of trips.
You feel there's a direct correlation between these trips?
Yes, of course, because you see, when the media
voted.
You see, when the media discusses about that trip and forget the MP, so MCA was castigated to be that guy who does not know what they're doing.
Okay.
So, and you know there are so many MCAs. So when you do the budget and you say 100 MCA left and they use this amount of money, of course it's a lot of
South
money.
Africa.
And somebody will say, what are they going there to do? But of course it was not the making of the MCA. That was what the structures were set. So, and as much as we want to say the MCA are not supposed to do that, we should look at all of them, not just the MCAs, MPs, senators, and governors, so that you have this kind of balancing. Otherwise, every time you hit on an MCA, an MP somewhere is smiling. Or every time you hit on an MCA, a senator somewhere is smiling. You say, these are the scapegoats. Yes, we are okay. Right now, as we speak, there are some of them already who are outside the country. The MPs, not the senators.
Okay.
So sometimes you ask yourself, when you're talking about an MC, and I said this myself.
Selective justice.
That's the point.
Some sort of
and I said this
justice.
myself. I'm no longer an MCA. I did not make it to be the senator. But I'm going to be an ambassador of MCAs, going around their wards, educating their people, so that the people will understand their role. So that come 2022, the people will choose another MCA or retain the MCA they have, following the information that they have, or if they understand the role of an MCA.
Okay.
Because you see, this generalization, there are some are very good MCAs who are, who are kicked out.
Okay.
It is not their fault. It's because of the system, and they say everybody must go home. So I need to fight for them, telling the people this is what an MCA is supposed to do. Is the MCA doing that? Then if he's doing that, he's doing his work.
We've talked about Kiambu quite a bit. Let's talk about Nairobi County, Millicent. For you as well, issues of MCAs traveling all over the world. What value did those trips add? And what's your take? He's given his take on it, that the media focus too much on MCAs. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way, and also the public, they really crucified the MCAs, yet some trips were worth it.
Okay.
I think just learning how different countries operate and trying to see how different countries are developed compared to ours, then you come and realize there's so much that you need to do. Me, I think those trips were worth it. It's just that media, they always try to look for something to sell and a topic.
Okay. And
once you attack politicians or the MCAs, you bring that conversation, and then you get to sell whatever your paper, your TV station, and people are always looking for something to vent out. And I think us being the closest to the people, that was an opportunity for people to just vent out. You're using our money, you're using our money. Yes, they're the ones who set aside the money for you to use that money. It's not that you went and stole the money. It's in the budget for you to use it and for you to learn.
Okay.
Because there's no point of having a leader who does not have an experience or exposure. You get the exposure so that you know what your people need and how you can interrelate that exposure with development in your area.
Okay. Saida, some would say that the first set of MCAs could have Googled.
Yes.
Seen pictures of Japan, China, whatever it is, Rwanda, South Africa, and learned. But for you, I guess, what lessons are you now learning this new crop of MCAs from the first set? Where did they get it right? Where did they get it wrong?
And that was the feeling on the ground with this traveling abroad. And you see everything right now, the world now, when you Google, you'll find everything.
Okay.
And as we enter the county assembly of Kiambu, these are the lessons that we are going to learn about these foreign trips. And for me, my take is I want to be around with my people. because for me, I'm exposed. I've been with the scouting movement. I've traveled around the world. I've traveled around East Africa. I know what my people want. So what we want to pursue as the new crop of MCAs. Let the money that we'll be using for benchmarking, because we have different wards.
So you're not going to have any benchmarking?
We don't. For me,
if I call you
personally,
you've just
personally for benchmarking, no. But I want
your people are
my people are listening. People of Kawindani, they're listening to me.
Okay.
For me, I'm exposed. What I want to service delivery to our people. Let that budget come to the budget to empower my people in my ward. Because if in my ward, we have so many needs. If you have a football team which does not have transport, does not have uniform, I have a team called Car All Stars. These boys are struggling. I have women down there on the ground. We have poor roads. We don't have water in Kawindani. Those are the things people want me to deliver to them.
Okay.
But what I want after delivering all these things, maybe you can say, maybe let us go out and benchmark. Let us go for parliamentary
after
unions.
You've done
after delivery. Okay. That is what people.
Let's switch gears now, and let me bring Karungo in on this. We know of situations where MCAs were accused of trying to blackmail governors. It was alleged that happened in Makueni, and many of the MCAs were sent home. Let's talk about relations between MCAs and governors, how to keep them accountable without also getting too close to them, because the County Act 2012, I believe, also sets provision in place that an MCA should do this and an MCA should not do that. And bearing in mind, we know that in some quarters, governors have been accused of being small kings, small presidents, who run their counties like their personal fiefdoms. So what are we going to do, especially because we're at a time where they are all being sworn in? What are MCAs doing to ensure that they're going to keep their governors accountable?
You see, that's actually what we are going to look at, or what you are going to see in most counties. Because if you have a governor who does not respect the MCAs, then they're going to be at loggerheads. If you have MCAs who will always sing to the governor's tune, then that county might not deliver, might not give the services to the people. I think I'm a good example of what oversight or legislation is all about when it comes to MCAs, because the constitution is very clear, and it tells what the roles of an MCA is. Representation, you represent your people.
Okay.
Legislation, you make laws. Oversight, which means that you need to keep the governor in check. Because you see what happens, if you have the right governor, and the governor who has a feeling of Wanjiku, then I believe that county will be the best. But sometimes, you know, the governors, when they get in there, they forget that even the MCAs were elected by their people. So they ignore MCAs, like the case that was there in Kiambu County. And that's why I stood up and stood out to say that everybody must be respected. Whether you're an MCA who got 3,000 votes or you're a governor who got 400,000 votes. Because you have a group of people that you represent. So for me is to urge the MCAs, the best thing and what you can do to deliver to your people is just follow the constitution. Because the moment you go to bed with the governor, the moment you go to bed with the executive, that's when they will be stealing money, they will put money in their pockets, and the MCA is not asking the question. And I want to give you a very good example, Wahiga. People or the governors or the executive, they don't steal money directly. They don't go to their account and withdraw and keep them in the pocket. What they do, they come to the MCA and they tell the MCA, I'm going to make a road in your ward. And then you say it's okay. So the road is done. And they say probably, and the governor comes and launches the road. And
big fanfare and everything.
Yeah, fanfare and all that. Then afterwards, because the MCA was part of that, and he said, mimi niliwatengenezea hii barabara, the road was probably worth 2 million. But they brought the cost to 10 million. So the governor and his executive and his minister, they eat 8. So you need a very strong MCA who will come and say, we thank you for the road, but we want to know how come this road is 10 million. So that one is asking the question. You're not fighting anybody. Because in fighting is when you become personal, is every time the governor does something you know, but asking the right questions. Yes, you build as a hospital. How come the hospital went for 100
Let me bring Millicent in on this as well. You wanted to contribute to this discussion?
I wanted to say that a relationship between the governor and the MCAs is very important. Unlike Nairobi, what really happened is that there was no relationship between the governor and the MCAs and the executive.
That's what happened in the last
they felt like they were the small gods, and they didn't really value the efforts of the MCAs. You tend to ignore this MCA, and yet he or she has something to say or to contribute. It's all about What relationship do you have with your MCAs? Are they doing their role? What are they contributing? I know so much about my ward. I have ideas. I have things that I want to be done in my ward. But the minute you block me out, 5 years down the line, when you come back to ask for votes, people will ask you, what did you do? And you didn't do anything because you didn't give me the opportunity to table my people's needs. You felt like you were this small god and I couldn't really have access. You do your own stuff that really, the people on the ground don't really need that. And I think that's what really happened in Nairobi. There was a huge gap between the executive and the MCAs. So when you go on the ground, people are like, you've not delivered. There's so much that needs to be done. MCA is the contact person on the ground. Put her close to you. Let her tell you this is what we want, you know. Send her back to the ground. What can we do? You know, that consultation is very important. It's not that you're going to bed with the governor or the executive. It's just that she is the contact person on the ground. You can send her, let her bring what needs to be done on the ground and deliver.
Why are these issues coming up now? Why couldn't you have called media 2 years ago and said we are having issues with our governor and it's affecting development? And it's not just your county, all counties.
I think what happened, most of the counties that tried to impeach their governors, people thought that the MCAs want to blackmail the governor. But it's not trying to blackmail the governor, it's just that give me an audience, give me an opportunity to table what my people want. And then you and your executive implement it. Once you do that, I don't have a problem with you. You know, so when it was like all the MCAs are fighting the governors, it's because probably the relationship wasn't streamlined properly. There wasn't a good communication, you know, and tabling and listening. You have to listen to the MCAs, and the MCAs have to listen to the governors. But once you decide that I'm the small president of the county and we are the small ministers, you MCAs are nobodies, then nothing happens at all.
Cyrus, you're working on keeping governors accountable.
Yes.
Who keeps you accountable? How are we sure that 3 years from now you won't become your own small president in your ward?
Especially on my case, we have young people and the confidence that people of Kawa and Dani, they have elected me with over 75% of the votes in Kawa and Dani. So me, I'm in a very awkward place because I need to perform in Kawendani and also checking the executive, especially in Kiambu County. Right now we have a governor-elect who has been closer to Wanjiko. He was a councillor, and they used to have that fund called last up fund for developing their wards. So in Kiambu County, what we are proposing as MCAs, and we normally have sittings with our governor-elect, we don't want conflicts. We want, as MCAs, let us be respected. Let us, the first business in that house after electing the speaker, after going for recess, we want to come back and legislate. Let us have a ward development fund. Let the MCA be the patron of that fund. Elect representative from women, youth, and everybody in that community. Let us do our own projects, because as an MCA in Kawendani, we know our needs with my people. If there's a problem of water, let us fix the water. Hospital, let us fix it. ISD center, let us fix it. Everything. We want we want to fill the devolution, and that is how we are going to diffuse this issue of fighting governor and MCA. And for me personally, I will not want to fight with my governor in terms of development. If it is oversight, let Wananchi oversight the MCA, let me oversight the governor. But we want everybody to have equal representation.
Good. I want to take 30 seconds. I'm actually taking more time than I have not been allocated. I have a quick question someone has asked to Millicent and to Karungo. I'll give you each 30 seconds to respond to this. Millicent, someone here saying congratulations on your re-election. It was not easy considering you were on a wheelchair. Goes to show the trust your people have in you. This is Esther Mwaria. Do you want to respond briefly?
Thank you, Esther. I think it's creating a good relationship with your people and letting them know what you're going through and just trying your best. You know, it's all about trying to satisfy them and enlightening them on what is happening around you. That's the most important thing. And having them close and just being open. Because when you try to shut the doors and act like I'm the princess of my ward, then people start... Then
they'll teach you a lesson.
Yeah, they start questioning you. Then secondly, most people are not re-elected is because delivering. For you to be re-elected, you have to deliver. Don't underestimate these voters. They know their rights. They know what they want. And once you deliver, a simple thing that really was disturbing them, just deliver that, you won't have a problem.
You won't have a problem. Karungo, I'll come to you because we need to cross over to Homa Bay now, county number 43, where Cyprian Awiti is taking his oath of office. He got a second term, Ghana 203,809 votes. Let's cross over to Homa Bay now. I believe he's actually being sworn in right now. That's the word I have gotten. Okay, of course he got 52.34% of the votes there. He was up against Joseph Magwanja, Tom Otieno Onyango, Medo Luke Calvins Misoma as well. There were 4 in the race there to sit in that governor's seat in Homa Bay, and he was given the chance to do it one more time. So there he is going through the various procedures that will allow him to fully take office and dispense or discharge his duties accordingly after that. This being a continuation after his first term, which was about 4.5 years. So you can see a bit of a struggle there by my cameraman, just trying to get the right, our cameraman there trying to get the right shots. Karungo, to you, even as you wind up, someone is asking, please ask Karungo Athangwa whether MCAs can have their own development funds for the wards, for their wards.
According to the law, actually, and I would want to thank the governor-elect of Kiambu County because he has promised that every ward will have a ward development fund.
Okay.
And myself, I drafted the law in 2013, December. And I gave it out to the speaker, but you see the constitution says when you are coming up with a fund, the executive must approve that.
Okay.
But that particular time, the executive really did not see the need to have that. So we have been asking for that, and we came out of the assembly without the fund. But having a ward development fund is actually the most important thing that you can do for any ward. You see, the issue is who controls the fund. Of course, the MCAs is not supposed to control the fund according to the law because his work is legislation, making the law. The implementer is the governor. So the governor will come up with committees, will come up with the who looks into that account, and that money will be taken to the ward. Because believe you me, if we were given money and you are told that this money belongs to a certain ward, the people of the ward can manage that money. And this will keep away those governors who would think that developing your ward is building you politically. Because remember very well, and I've suffered this myself as an MCA, whereby an executive will go to my ward and say, I do not develop your ward because your MCA is not, we are not in good terms.
Seeing eye to eye.
So, for us to cap that and to give the MCA time and the people to develop their ward, this ward development fund is important. And that's why I'm saying I'm happy to hear that the governor-elect Wejito said that they are going to have that. If they have that, I know Kiambu will kick off, and of course we will have the best county to be in.
Karungo, thank you so much. Clearly the topic of MCAs is one we'll need to revisit again. Lots and lots of issues. We've just scratched the surface. Karungo Athangwa, senatorial candidate Kiambu, previously an MCA. Thank you for finding time to be here with us. Cyrus Omondi, aka Gearbox. We'll have to talk about that another day, even that name. MCA Kahau and Dani, congratulations. And Millicent Mugadi got a second term as the MCA Ziwani Karioko. Thank you so much also for finding time to have come here and engaged in this discussion. Well, time now to take a look at what's happening, what's trending on social media, what are some of the big issues on alternative media. Brian Okot will be joining us for that shortly on the other side of this break. But for now, let's go back to Homa Bay. If we have those images now and see what's happening there.
In the same breath, the county secretary, regional chairman of the Home Secretary of Politics, at this moment is going to hand over the fingers of power to the county government. That's the flag and the seal of the Honorable County government to the governor of the county. The county secretary. This is the flag and the seal.